Hi, I'm Rusty Komori, and this is Beyond the Lines on ThinkTech Hawaii. I was the head coach of the Punahou School boys varsity tennis team for 22 years, and we were fortunate to win 22 consecutive state championships. This show is based on my books, Beyond the Lines and Beyond the Game, and it's about leadership, character, and creating a superior culture of excellence. My special guest today won the gold medal in figure skating at the 1992 Olympics. She is the one and only Kristi Yamaguchi. And today we are going beyond the Olympics. Hey, Kristi, welcome back to Beyond the Lines.
Thank you so much, Rusty. It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Kristi, I always say that parents are the kids' first coaches, and you and Brett have done an incredible job with your two daughters. They're all grown up now. How are they?
They're pretty good. Thank you for asking. They are grown up, 19 and 17 now. Our oldest one is a freshman in college, and the younger one's a junior in high school. So going through that whole touring the schools to see where she might want to go eventually. So yes, it's cliche to say time flies, but it's amazing to see how fast that they've grown up.
What sports do they play? Are they doing figure skating like you?
So our younger one skated for about 10 years, but she is no longer skating. She's pursuing other interests. And our older one had different interests completely away from the ice, actually closer to Hawaii. She was a hula dancer and also performance in theater and acting now. So very creative, a performer nonetheless, but definitely not on the ice for the older one.
Now, Kristi, when you, let's say some decades ago, what got you interested and why did you have a passion for figure skating?
Well, it was something that I had seen. I had seen an ice show. I had seen how magical all those performances were and was just completely drawn in. The lights, the costumes, the music, the performances, just created such a story, and looked like a lot of fun too. So that really drew me into skating, and eventually, beyond the shows, I realized, the competition is kind of, where it's at with skating in order to be able to perform in the shows. So then that got me into competing, and it really stoked the fires of that competitive side of in me, which I think it was always there, but it was just like, oh, okay, I definitely have a competitive side. So it was good to have that come out.
Now, Kristi, did you ever do or attempt to do the backflip like your friend Scott Hamilton?
No. Wow, he definitely has a legendary backflip, but never on the ice. I was learning the backflip off the ice, and working with some people who knew how to do it, and working it on the grass just in case. But I never got the nerve up to actually try it on the ice. So it takes a lot of guts, and anytime I see anyone do it on the ice, I'm pretty impressed.
Now, that was very impressive. That was his signature move there. And Kristi, I want to ask you, even in competition, what would you say are some of the differences between being a finalist versus being a champion?
It's a pretty fine line. Once you're at the top in your sport or in your category, whatever it is you're doing, everyone's worked hard to get there. Everyone's got some level of talent, and for sure, a little bit of luck that absolutely comes into play. You have to be healthy and in the right mindset, but mindset for sure. Having that confidence and having that mental toughness to perform at your best when the pressure is on, and I think what helps with confidence is being prepared. So I think, that person who's gone, the extra mile to prepare and to be ready for any circumstance, because as we know, you never know what's going to get thrown at you in the sports world. So, just being able to prepare and go out there under the pressure to do what you're capable of.
Now, Kristi, when you were training, what was a typical training day like from the morning all the way till you would go to sleep?
Well, it kind of varied throughout my career. I would say probably some of the toughest years were through high school. As I was like 13, 14 through the time I graduated in 17, I was up at 4 a.m. on the ice by 5, skating and training until 10 or 11, and then literally going straight to school, getting some classes in, and then finishing the classes I missed in the morning late in the afternoon. And then basically it was time for dinner and then off to bed. So not much time for a whole lot of other stuff. But I would say, yeah, probably from middle school or end of middle school through high school was a pretty rigorous schedule. And then once I graduated high school, our sport changed a little bit. They eliminated the school figures, which were the figure eights that we drew on the ice with our blades. That took up almost over half of our training time. So when those were eliminated, my training switched to maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours of skating training on the ice, and another hour and a half training off the ice. And then sprinkled in with some dance classes and like weight training, other types of classes to supplement. But it was 6 days a week for sure. Definitely had to have one day to rest and regroup.
Yeah, definitely that one rest day is so necessary. And Kristi, I want to take you back to that 1992 Olympics. What are some of the experiences? What do you remember from that Olympics?
Ooh, I mean, obviously, so many fond memories, and just being so fortunate and grateful the way things ended up. But really, it was trying to experience everything that the Olympics was about. And I was fortunate to be able to stay in the Olympic Village with the other athletes and experience that and meet some of my idols that I really looked up to in the Olympic world. Train and be focused and, cheer other people on. But then, obviously competing and just knowing and trying to convince myself, okay, you're ready. This is it. You can do it. I think those are the things that kept going through my mind. It's just like, okay, focus, just be ready. You are ready. And this is the time. This is what you've been waiting for. So, yeah, a little scary too sometimes.
Now, Kristi, was the dream team there at the time? I mean, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, them. Did you get a chance to meet them?
So, dream team was Summer Games. So they weren't in Albertville, but 92 was the last year that both the Summer Olympic Games happened in the same year. So a few months later, the Summer Games in Barcelona happened where the Dream Team was. And I did get to go as part of the presidential delegation to Barcelona and see the Dream Team compete in the early rounds. So that was pretty cool and exciting.
Oh, they were so dominant at that time. I mean, literally that was the dream team. And Kristi, your performance was flawless. I mean, you captivated our country and you captivated the world. And then you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, how did you deal with all the fame and popularity?
it was a little crazy at the beginning. I think as a 20-year-old who had never really been thrown into the spotlight like that before, it was really intimidating. And I think being more of a shy person, I just felt like, oh no, like, what do I do? What do I say to people? How do I react? And I was very kind of in my shell a little bit. And it took a while to kind of learn how to ride the wave and kind of enjoy some of the really cool opportunities that had opened up after the Olympics. So, it was an amazing time. And I think looking back, it's incredible to see how many people watch the Olympics and to feel the support from so many people around the world. It was a really amazing and positive experience.
Well, Kristi, I have to say that you exemplified grace and elegance, and you're such a great role model for countless people throughout the world. And I want to know, Kristi, why did you start your Always Dream Foundation?
I think pursuing my dream, having that opportunity to just even compete and go after my dream, which was the Olympics, I felt so fortunate. And, I say this all the time. My mom asked me after the Olympics, okay, you had a lot of support and you had a lot of help. What are you going to do to give back? And that always stuck with me because my parents had always taught us that being a part of community and supporting each other and lifting each other up was, how part of the values that they passed on to my brother and sister and I. So, I'd always loved working with kids, and I had always thought of, hey, my dreams came true, and I'm so lucky for that. I had the support, I had the resources. Now, what could I do to maybe help and make that happen for other kids out there? So, that's why Always Dream is the name of my nonprofit. And we've always been about having a positive influence and really being a support system and encouragement for kids to go after their own dreams. And for the last 11 years, we've done that through early literacy as our platform, and to really focus in on that solid foundation of education that any child could really build their dreams on.
Well, it's incredible to see the impact that you're having. And can you share some of the details about what your organization does to really help countless kids?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a reading program called Always Reading, and our target population we serve are pre-K, TK, and kindergarten age students, so 4 and 5-year-olds. And we go through classrooms, and particularly Title I schools who are more underserved schools and communities. And we're making sure that every child in those schools have the resources, the literacy resources, to be able to read at home. We give them a tablet that's loaded with ebooks, and they can access these ebooks while they're at home. But I think our most special thing is we have a dedicated book coach who's local on the islands, and they work directly with the families in providing reading strategies and tips and support, whatever it may be. Sometimes it might be technical, using technology, but a lot of times it's just like, hey, you can do it. There's 5 new books in your library. Pick one to read to your child. If you're trying to find time, maybe 5 minutes at breakfast is all you need to read a story to your child. So little tips to really help the families create a reading routine at home, which really is a huge indicator on how their success in school is really going to be like.
Now, Kristi, I think I'm right that you have expanded to 11 schools in Hawaii, and how many states are you in as well?
So we're in California and Hawaii, and our focus is really in those two regions to continue our growth. We have a rapid growth plan for the next 5 years, actually 4 years now, because we're in the middle of the first year of our strategic plan. And, currently we're at about 500 students that our program is serving in Hawaii. And by 2027, we're looking for that to be closer to 3,000 students in Hawaii. So a very ambitious growth plan, and but we feel our program is much needed, and it's having the impact of, close to 90% of families who have gone through our program are saying that they are better equipped and have the knowledge to better sit down and read to their child. About 87% of kids from our program say that they're more interested in reading and ask to be read to more often. So these changes in behavior are really what we're striving towards and want to see in our families, because that connection that they're creating with their child at home and their involvement in their education at home is really what's going to make a huge difference.
And Kristi, you yourself, you're an author of some wonderful children's books, including Dream Big, Little Pig and Kara's Kindness, which I absolutely love. What compelled you to become a children's author?
I think being a mom, becoming a mom, really the first book, Dream Big, Little Pig, came out when our daughters were 2 and, are 4 and 6 years old. So they were at that learning to read age. And, my husband and I were reading to them every night at bedtime. We had that routine down, but I wanted a positive story to maybe read to them. And I mean, there's tons of out there, but I was getting tired of reading the same ones over and over to them. So I thought, hey, how about mom writes a book for you? And they were my inspiration. And, the positive message in Dream Big, Little Pig is perseverance. It's not giving up. It's, Poppy the pig faces many challenges and, many setbacks, but she never gives up. And eventually she finds, just going after her dream is, bigger than anything, and it gives her the most satisfaction. So that's kind of, the positive message of never giving up.
I love it. And Kara's Kindness, I mean, when you came out with that one, that was hugely popular as well, right?
Yes, yeah, and this was a fun one to do. It, I guess you can see that skating is kind of the common thread in all 3 of my books. But this character, Kara the cat, kind of starts a trend of paying kindness forward. And I've always loved that concept of passing something forward. And she does a small act of kindness for her friend, and all she asks in return is to pay it forward. And it kind of goes full circle. And it, in the end, when she's kind of in a predicament where she needs some support and help, her friends are there to support her, and the kindness comes full circle back to her. So a little bit of karma, and just, I think kids can't hear it enough that any act of kindness, whether it's sharing a toy or sharing something, or, including them while you're playing on the playground, all those things are huge acts of kindness that, make a difference in our world.
I absolutely agree there, Kristi. And Kristi, I want to talk with you about my books. You have my first book. I'm going to get you my second book when I see you in a few weeks. And you know that I talk a lot about creating that superior culture of excellence and the importance of coaching. And I want to ask you, what are some things that really shaped you as a person and an athlete with your coach, Kristi Ness?
I think there was, it was, figure skating is a sport where it's individual sport, right? I mean, similar to tennis, I guess you do develop a very strong relationship individually with your coach. It's a very one-on-one. And I know with my coach, Kristi Ness, there had to be a lot of trust, in her coaching. And, all she asked is that there was some type of buy-in, right, to what her philosophy was. And when she saw that her students were dedicated to the process that she had, you saw results, and it's really hard to argue with that. So, so I think there's a lot of trust that goes both ways. I think with your coach and respect. I think when you're out there all alone and your coach is the only one at the side of the ice, like rooting for you and sending you those positive vibes. There's a lot of respect that's going back and forth as well. So, I'm not saying it was easy. There are times, like any time where you're just like, oh, like quit saying that, or like I don't want to hear it anymore. Like, not again. But in the end, I think it's just knowing that, hey, your coach wants the best for you, and they're the professional, right? They're the ones who have the experience and who have seen the success and what it takes. So you got to trust it.
No, I totally agree with you, Kristi. And, I always say that self-discipline leads to habits, which lead to success. And earlier you talked about the importance of mental toughness. What would you say is the mindset of a champion to have those self-disciplines?
I think it seems so long ago when I was like in that mode of like what I needed to do. But, it was, there's a lot of obstacles, right? There are a lot of challenges, whether it's injuries, whether it's just feeling off and not wanting to go into practice. But, those are the times when you need to dig a little bit deeper. And, there would be days on end where, I think I would wake up and be like, oh, same thing again. Like, I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to go practice and train and run through my long program and be exhausted. But I think the tenacity and the determination of making myself do it, it was one thing I was proud of. But and I think it's just knowing is having that determination, right? Someone asked me, like, what's one word you would use to describe yourself when you were competing? And for some reason, I came up with determination. And the journalist said, I knew you were going to say that. And in some ways, it's true. I think for me, I wasn't the most talented. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the strongest. I didn't jump the highest, whatever. But there was, I think, a sense of determination that, hey, I can do this, and I can compete with the best, and, raise the bar in a different way, bring something different to this competition. And, I think that determination and not giving up like Poppy is, something that, the champions, I think, all share.
Well, Kristi, you took that determination into season 6 of Dancing with the Stars, and your partner, Mark Ballas, who's incredible. It was so awesome watching you and him compete there. What are some things you remember about those performances?
They were pretty intense. I think it was so much fun doing something so different and feeling like a rookie again in some ways, because once again, I had a coach, which was Mark Ballas, and he was so incredible and talented, creative, and wasn't afraid to push me. He was, I think, 15 years younger than me when we competed together. And still, obviously. But I was very comfortable going back into that student mode and taking his lead. And, I think every week there was something new to learn and to absorb and take in. And, as the weeks go on, you're more and more exhausted and your brain starts to explode and it gets harder and harder. But, that's the fun of reality TV, right? It gets a little crazy.
Well, Kristi, and then you both win season 6 of Dancing with the Stars. You get presented those mirror ball trophies. I mean, that is just, it looks awesome. And did you feel more pressure at Dancing with the Stars than you did at the Olympics?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I felt more pressure. There was definitely pressure, but I think it's really hard to compare anything to the Olympics. I think that was like a level I can't. It's hard to even fathom again anymore. But live TV in a situation like Dancing with the Stars was pretty intense, and no one wants to be embarrassed or make a mistake or whatever. So yeah, there definitely was a sense of like, nerves and anxiety for sure.
Well, you're right. I mean, the Olympics is the ultimate, but you've been training for the Olympics all your life up to that point, and then Dancing with the Stars. You just started that a few weeks earlier, and then you're learning new routines every week, right?
Yes, every week. And some weeks there were 2 routines plus a group number. So I think if anything, it's just, it really got your brain working in a different way of learning choreography, learning and remembering it. And you don't just have to remember it, then you have to actually perform it, where it looks like you know what you're doing. So, I have to give so much credit to the professionals, the professional dancers on Dancing with the Stars, because they do an incredible job, not just teaching, but, really helping their partner, perform through all of that and making them look good when sometimes we're probably faking it a little bit, right?
Oh, that's an incredible situation. And Kristi, I want to ask you one more thing before we wrap up. Players like Joe Montana, Steph Curry, Kristi Yamaguchi have all achieved greatness, and greatness can be defined in many ways. How do you define greatness?
When I hear those names like Joe Montana, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, and greatness, Scott Hamilton, I look at them as athletes who left a mark in their sport and changed it in some way. They elevated it. They brought a certain value to how they played the game or how they participated in the sport. And, I think all of those factors kind of, lead to that status, I guess, of greatness in their sport.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. And Kristi, 4 years ago when I had you on the show, I said that I want more Kristi Yamaguchis in the world. And I still want more Kristi Yamaguchis in the world. And I want to thank you for taking time to join me on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure, Rusty. And I think we're lucky to have a Rusty in the world, and you spreading so much knowledge with your books and sharing that with so many people. So thank you for doing all of that.
Thank you, Kristi. And thank you for watching Beyond the Lines on ThinkTech Hawaii. For more information, please visit rustykomori.com. And my books are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and Kristi's too. And I hope that Kristi and I will inspire you to strive for your superior culture of excellence and to find your greatness and help others find theirs. Aloha.
Thank you so much for watching ThinkTech Hawaii. If you like what we do, please like us and click the subscribe button on YouTube and the follow button on Vimeo. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and donate to us at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.